In this video, we're going to show you to install the radiator on your Toyota Camry located behind your front grille. On the bottom side of your radiator, you want to go ahead and remove this splash shield if you have it. There's a series of 10mm bolts going around the perimeter. Loosen and remove all of those. On our particular model, we have some plastic clips or retainers here. Yours might be a little bit different, but you want to go ahead and remove whatever you have there. I'm going to remove this here. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Remove that splash shield. Now on the bottom side of your radiator, normally there's a drain valve, normally just to the left over here on the driver's side. This particular radiator does not have that. So what we have to do is loosen our lower radiator hose clamp here. We're going to gently slide this back and drain our coolant into a retaining bucket. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses. When doing something like this here, you don't want to have any coolant splash in your eyes. Slide this back, twist that hose. Now the majority of our coolant drained out. We're going to come on over to the sensor right here. This is the coolant sensor switch for our fan, our cooling fan. So right on the back side, there's a little tab. We're going to press in on this tab, wiggle that off, and we want to go ahead and remove the sensor from the radiator. We're going to use a 19mm socket to go ahead and loosen and remove this sensor. We will be reusing this. Now our vehicle is an automatic transmission, so we have two transmission cooler lines here. Our particular lines are held on with some hose clamps. We're going to loosen up our hose clamps and slide the hose off. Your particular model might be slightly different. So you want to go ahead and remove that line. Now transmission fluid will come out of these here, so you want to take precaution. Make sure that you have the correct drain bucket. You don't want to mix the coolant and transmission fluid. I'm going to slide these clamps back. I'm going to loosen the other one as well. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this hose here. And then we'll pull that off. Go ahead and do the same for the other side. Along the bottom side of our radiator, we're going to have four 10mm bolts. There's two here for the cooling, the radiator fan, and we have two over here for the AC fan. I want to go ahead and loosen and remove these. Now at this point here, we have everything disconnected from our lower portion of our radiator. Let's move up top. On the driver's side of the radiator here, we have the fan connectors. So we're going to press down on the tabs and pull these off. Set those off to the side. Going to remove our upper radiator hose. We're going to use some pliers on the clamp. Slide that hose off. And over here we have our expansion tank hose. Slide that off and set that aside. On the passenger side of the radiator, we have our AC cooling fan here. This is the 4-blade unit. Follow the harness up and it comes to right here. I want to press down on this tab and separate this connector. Remove the 4 10mm bolts securing our 2 fans in place. Grab that AC cooling fan, pull it straight up and out, set that aside. Grab our cooling fan, pull that up and out. Use our 12mm socket to loosen and remove this bolt. Do the same for the driver's side. Go ahead and remove the bolts. Remove these clamps and set those aside. With those clamps removed, go ahead and gently wiggle that radiator up, slide that straight up and out. And we'll bring this back. On the bottom of a radiator, you want to go ahead and remove the rubber grommets on the bottom here. We're going to transfer these over to the new radiator. With the radiator lifted up, we want to go ahead and remove the rubber grommet here. Just going to twist that off. Before installing your new radiator, you want to make sure that the spots for the grommets here are cleared out. Clean up any debris that might be in the bottom here. Inspect for any rot, any issues that be causing a future issue. And do this on both sides, the driver and passenger side. Around the perimeter of our radiator, there's going to be 8 of these mounting tab areas for our cooling fans to attach to. We're going to take the new supplied nuts, and you want to locate the little tab on that. There's only one tab sticking up. You want to take this here, and you're going to insert it into these notches, and it's going to be in the upper notch, not closer to the tank. You're going to feed it into the upper notch, push it in, and you're going to hear it snap and lock into place. You're going to repeat this process for the other 7 holes. Install the grommets that we removed off of the old radiator. Once those are on, we can go ahead and flip the radiator around and lower it down into position. These grommets will fit down into the radiator support down below, into those holes that we previously cleaned out. Once you have the radiator lined up, we can go ahead and install our upper brackets. Let's go ahead and tighten these down. And let's go ahead and lower the fan down into position. Drop that down, slide that on over. I'm going to get the 2 upper bolts started here to secure that fan in place. Now we're not going to tighten these yet. We're just going to thread these bolts in by hand. We'll come back and tighten those down later on. Drop down your AC cooling fan. Lower that into position. Let's go ahead and get the 2 upper bolts installed for this now. On the driver's side, we'll go ahead and connect our connectors here for the fan assembly. We'll press this on. You can feel them and hear them clip into place. Let's go ahead and install the connector on the passenger side. Line that up. Press that on. Go ahead and line up that upper radiator hose. I'm going to go ahead and slide that on, make sure that is fully seated. There we go. Install the expansion tank hose. I'm going to go ahead and install your transmission lines. Now on the radiator, there's going to be some caps here. Go ahead and grab those little rubber caps, pop those off. Get and install that line. I'm going to slide that hose down. And get that clamp in a position, and we'll re-secure this. Do the same for the other side here. Pop that cap off. Install that line. We're going to position our securing clamps here. Go ahead and tighten down our clamp. And install our sensor over here. Now there is a plug here. I'm just going to use our pliers. Gently twist that and remove that. And I want to install some thread sealant on that sensor. Line that up and thread that in. I want to go ahead and gently snug this down. Once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. You don't want to over tighten this here. I'm going to run our harness up and over. Put the little retainer tab into the radiator right there. We're going to line up our connector. Push that on. You can hear it and feel it snap into place. Install your fan bolts. You might just have to reach up and grab that fan and wiggle it a little bit. That's why we didn't tighten the upper bolts. Get that started. Do the same on the other end over here. Now when tightening these here, I'm just going to use my gear wrench. Once those bolts bottom out, you can stop. They don't have to be super tight. We go ahead and slip this back into position, and we're going to secure this. Go ahead and clean that up. Now let's go ahead and connect our lower radiator hose and secure that. Install your lower splash shield. Now there would normally be another one up in the front here, and should be another one right about here, but ours are broken in there. So you want to go ahead and install yours if you have those there. I'm going to install our plastic push pins. Lock that down. Install the one on the driver's side. Lock that one down. And once those are in place, lining that up, let's go ahead and snug down the screws. Go ahead and snug down the 4 bolts across the top. Once those bolts bottom out, this is as far as you got to go. Don't forget to check your transmission fluid level. To do so would be to pull back on this little spring clip and remove the dipstick. Take a rag, wipe this down. Now on the dipstick, there are going to be levels. There is a cold section in between these 2 notches and a hot section between these 2 notches. Now our engine is cool, our transmission is cool, so we're going to reinsert this. Make sure you're on level ground. Push this down inside, remove it, and our transmission is cold, and so is our engine. And we are right inside that cold mark there with our fluid level. Now if you do need to add transmission fluid, you're going to use the same port here, use a small funnel, and use the appropriate type of transmission fluid recommended for our vehicle. Using a funnel and the appropriate radiator fluid here, I want to go ahead and fill up the radiator. You want to keep on doing this here until we're filled up right to the top of the neck here. Now that we're filled up, I'm going to go ahead and remove our funnel. Go ahead and install our radiator cap. To finish up this cooling system, I want to go ahead, follow our expansion tank hose over to our expansion tank on the side over here. I want to go ahead and fill up this tank to the full mark. Once that's all set, you want to go ahead and take the vehicle for a road test. Come on back and just double check that coolant level here. You want to go ahead and if you need more coolant, add through this cap here. Never open up the radiator cap when it's hot.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.